What's up, Raider Nation? How you doing? It's Polo Rodriguez, president of the Santa Maria Black Hole Chapter, and you're watching Oaktown Legends only on the Raider Homer channel. And just for the record, OG Ray did not beat me at the Ted Hendricks bowling tournament.
All right, Raider Nation, welcome back to Oaktown Legends. I'm Raider Homer, and joining me is the one and only, the Violator. Thanks for coming back on the channel, Violator. I really appreciate your support.
Always a pleasure, brother. All we ask is for a moment to share the love with the Raider Nation.
Your first appearance on the Raider Homer channel was on Coast to Coast with the Black Hole Superfans. And on that podcast, you told me and Max that you moved to LA in 1977, right after the Raiders won their first Super Bowl. And 5 years later, you saw the Raiders leave Oakland for the first time, going to LA, falling right into your lap. But we'll get into the Raiders' time in LA during Wayne Mabry, the LA years. This podcast is dedicated to recording the last year in Oakland. But before we get into 2019, let's take a look back at the return of the Raiders to Oakland in 1995, which is the start of the Black Hole era. As if you didn't already set the bar high, now you're on the road to Oakland from LA as the Violator with a truck full of gear. What's the drive to Oakland like for the Violator?
Wow, brother. Let's see, where do I begin with that? Taking a 6.5 hour drive, say every week or every other week, whatever the case may be, with all my gear. At that time, I was wearing it, so I was driving 6.5 hours with my gear on, so that when I got out of my truck in the parking lot, I'm ready to pop a cold one and let's party.
Oh, that's awesome. Even though you weren't yet a member of the Black Hole in 1995, your influence on the Raider Nation was evident. Shortly after you became the Violator, the superfan scene exploded. What is it like knowing that you helped inspire this new age fan and helped put us on the path that we're on now?
I couldn't have ever visualized something like that happening, because at that point, I was just trying to express my game day emotions or my feelings towards this team during that time. And like I say, it was all about going to war. The game was, everybody says, oh, it's just entertainment. To me, it's always been X's and O's, which means it's war played on the field. And that's what I brought to the game to this day, that same mentality. It's still war. They can call it entertainment until the lights go out. But to me, it's still war. And like I say, to see generations now over my 28 so years, and I see younger kids expressing themselves, to me, that's a form of art. They call us a cult. Well, this is cultural art. Who else can do this like us? Because the colors were made for us to do such what we do on game day. We can pull off anything because the colors fit. And my thing is, in planting seeds, when I say that, I'm trying to instill in these youngsters, have a purpose for what you're doing. Have a belief in why you do what you do. And also complete dedication to it. Thick or thin, win, lose, or die, we're Raiders.
From 1995 to 2019, you've seen a lot of changes to the roster and to the coaching staff. The return of Gruden has been rough so far, but we've seen Gruden lead the Raiders to victory. So let's go back to 1998, which of course is Gruden's first year as head coach of the Raiders. How was Raider Nation feeling about the young Chucky lookalike back then?
After we got over the Popeye, mystique, and the facial expressions, which we grew to love, we knew this guy was a serious coach about football. He was about winning. So you saw how the team just flourished around him. It was a mentality that they took on that took me all the way back to the Madden era. We've had some great athletes come through there over these years, and we had some great ones leave. But the ones that stayed were the ones that had that Gruden grinder mentality. Now here we go, 2019, Gruden's second stint. Young team, very young team. He pretty much cleaned house for whatever reason, financially, player, personnel-wise, or what have you. But here we are on the threshold of the future of the Raiders, as Al always spoke of. We have a young nucleus. These guys can stay together 3 or 4 years, mature, build that chemistry that you already see that they have, build upon that chemistry, and continue for decades further. And we need that 4th Lombardi trophy sitting in the mantle.
In 2002, Gruden left a bitter taste in our mouths, beating us in the Super Bowl. After waiting for so long to win another Super Bowl, how hard was it for you to deal with that loss?
Brother, that loss, personally, was like losing a family member. It was like going into battle and the other team had their game plan that they studied for the 2 weeks prior to the Super Bowl. Mirroring everything that we tried to run, they already had their defense set up to mirror everything that we were trying to run. So it was actually a game of war, but it was, when you got the advantage on the opponent because you know all their trade secrets. That's what it felt like. And you watched it take place when you watched Jerry Rice throw his helmet in frustration. Tim Brown, he would never use profanity, but you saw the look on his face like, what the hell is going on out here? And then Gruden, of course, pumping his fist at the end of the game. That just was like a dagger to the heart, man, because this was our coach the year previous. So it took a while for all of us to just come out of the fog that, yeah, he got traded away, and he's the same guy that beat us. We couldn't believe it. And talking to players as the years went after that, we found out that the coaches in charge at that time were just basically, how do I put it, too cocky or too arrogant to change up anything. If you know who you're facing, you study that opponent. If you know he knows your signals, then you change up something. You can't just play right into his hand. And that's why you saw the defensive guys grinning during the game because they knew what plays were getting ready to be run.
Yeah, that Super Bowl loss, I mean, it had me in the fetal position at night in bed. I mean, I couldn't sleep for 2 weeks. I mean, I had a hard time dealing with that loss, man, because I had been a fan since 1990, and I had watched, Art Shell do his thing, and then we went 2 or 3 years with nothing happening, and then, watched Gruden build up the team, and we're finally there, and then boom, it's taken away. And like you say, yeah, he's pumping his fists and going down the field, high-fiving. I mean, it was so hard to watch, and I remember seeing, like, at the end of the game when they're shaking hands and all that, like, Gruden comes up to Gannon, and he whispers something in his ear, and Gannon just jerks away from him. Like, I always wonder, what did he tell him right then and there, and especially hearing, it really sucked hearing John Lynch, on the mic'd up, videos saying that, everything Gruden told us was going to happen is actually happening. And I mean, oh my God, it was so terrible. It was so
Could you get an easier Super Bowl victory? No. Played right into their hands. And like I say, for Gruden at that time, that was something like a personal victory as far as how he had been treated previously. Yeah. Now that he's back, years later, now he's back. Don't think he forgot that once. And he don't want to relive that same scenario being on the opposite end of that. So he's trying to instill in our guys, listen, all we want is effort and your athletic and mental capabilities every time, 100%. Because to me, between him and Mike Mayock, they brought in, this is the best draft that we've had in a number of years, brother.
Yes, sir.
As far as the type of athlete we bringing in, the mindset of those athletes, the stories behind them. Everybody has a story, brother, something that drives them. And, we're 1-1 right now in this state of the game. But I see potential in this team as long as they keep it together. And like I say, forget about the outside noise. There's super potential in this team that we've got.
So with all that being said, How did you feel about the rehiring of John Gruden?
Personally, I had no problem with it because I like the energy that Gruden brings to the table. I know what he's about. I've met him a couple of times. We've exchanged conversations, and he knows what I'm bringing. I know what he's about. It's about winning at the end of the day, and it's about that love for that silver and black. So him getting a second chance, don't think he don't want to get this right. He wants to get this right.
Yeah, I wanna add a new ring to the Super Bowl ring collection I have. So Gruden owes that to me. I feel like.
Exactly.
Week 2 was nothing to celebrate as the Raiders fell to the hated Chiefs. But that's the beauty of the Raider Nation. Win, lose, or tie, we're Raiders until we die. We always show up in full force. What were the Week 2 tailgates like?
It was the tailgate thing was like a continuation of opening day. And you were there, you saw opening day.
Yes, sir.
You can't even write a Hollywood script that would do that justice. Here comes the dreaded Chief Week, as they call us Raider Week over there in Chiefs country. Chiefs Week. That's our nemesis. That's our arch nemesis in the AFC. Period. I'm thinking, oh man, look at these people. They're just celebrating and they're ready with anticipation. And we're fellowshipping with Chiefs fans, showing them that, look, forget what you heard. Unless you break bread with us, you really don't know anything about us. So they all had a good time.
As you just mentioned, I was at opening weekend, and the Black Hole had a tribute to Veronica Ruiz. And in Week 2, SBA had a tribute to Veronica Ruiz as well. What was Veronica's tribute like, and how special of a person was Veronica Ruiz?
Brother, let me tell you about Ronnie. We call her Bedazzle. I've known her for 24 years basically. And she was like an angel to me. She loved wearing her white because that just made her sparkle, along with her rhinestones and, all of the athletes that she wore. She was just like an angel, good heart. And to be a part of that tribute where we released the doves in her honor, I was so emotional I could even speak. All I could do was just do the hugs and all that. But just for the family to come together to show that she was missed, you can only wish that for anybody that's a part of the Raider Nation, to be loved that much, that they would throw a tribute to you in such a manner. Classily done, elegant, and like I say, man, her spirit lives on within us from now on. She'll never be forgotten.
With another Oakland tailgate under your belt, take us into the stadium and share with us your take on what the hell happened versus the Chiefs.
We go inside, the game takes off, first quarter looks very promising. I don't know what happened, brother, but I'm thinking Patrick Mahomes is looking at it like, wow, they're really not coming at me like I thought they would. Played right into their hands as far as their passing game. They had no running threat. I'm sitting right there watching this like, they have no running threat, but they're slinging the ball all over the yard, almost like Sandlot. And we're looking like Keystone Cops in the back end, especially, falling over each other and just being out of place. And the communication was obviously terrible, but those guys have more talent than what they showed. So I'm looking for next week with Minnesota for them to step up to the plate and show that wasn't just a fluke. But to me, the Chiefs came in and stole one from us. And I'm always going to keep that on my chart. You stole one from me, so I owe you one.
So even though we lost 28-10, we were driving the ball well and didn't allow any points for 3 quarters. So in your opinion, what do we need to do to get better as a team?
Bring back the nasty. Intensity needs to be at the utmost high. I would say bring like a Romo in to speak to these guys. A a Phil Villapiano to talk to these guys, or Greg Townsend, your Howie Long, to talk to these guys about what that means when it comes to strapping on that gear on Sunday, going at it. It's within them, but like I say, that's a young team. We as fans have to give them, I would say, a year or so to mature. But the potential is there. They just need to mature and understand what these battles week to week mean. You only got 16 weeks in a season. If you fall behind 3 or 4 games, that's hard to make up, because come November, everybody's trying to set themselves up for playoffs. And when the playoffs is out of the picture, what do you think you're going to do psychologically? You almost shut down. We as fans, we don't have that option. We're there every week, raising hell, giving everything we've got. I call it, we bring our A game every week.
Derek Carr set a new Raider record for passing yards versus the Chiefs, moving past Ken Stabler. Even though we lost, Carr had a historic game. Given the circumstances that Carr has faced in his career with all the dysfunction of the Raiders, do you feel he's earned his place in Raider lore?
Yes, that young warrior brother has definitely earned his place, and he's still carving his niche in Raider lore history. The best quarterback, in my estimation, that we've had come along since the retirement of Rich Gannon. A born leader. He's living his dream because he dreamt of being a Raider as a kid. Now he's living his dream. And I respect him from that matter, just the way he carries himself, upstanding citizen, devoted father, husband, and like I say, just an all-around good guy wearing the silver and black.
Yeah, Carr, like I said in multiple episodes throughout my channel, I'm a huge Carr fan. I've been a fan since 1990. He is the best quarterback we've had since Rich Gannon. Like all the hate that was coming his way last year was uncalled for, because Derek Carr is the epitome of what you want as a Raider fan, a Raider player. The guy that's dedicated to the team, and as you say, on and off the field, a good leader, a good man. And I mean, I'm glad to see him succeed. Now, if we could just build a team and get some wins, and get him a Super Bowl championship, he would just, to me, go down as the greatest Raider quarterback of all time.
That trophy, brother, would be the tip of the iceberg for him and for the organization. Like I say, we're long overdue,
yes,
and we've been in pretty much obscurity for over 2 decades. Everybody has ebbs and flows to their careers and seasons and history. But now we've been down in the gutter so long that we've become almost like the laughing joke of the league. But the fan base has still shown that, look, we believe in you. You just got to believe in yourself, and let's do this together. We're still behind them full force, brother, regardless of what other people say. We believe in that team. And I can see him leading us to that next trophy. And like I say, well-deserved, and he's earned it, because he's a guy that's been got up off the ground, dusted himself off. He's been busted up a couple of times, but that still does not diminish that fire that you see in his eyes come game day.
Amen, man. Amen. So you've seen a lot of great Raider running backs from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. And now Josh Jacobs is showing promise and played well versus the Chiefs. What's the ceiling for Josh Jacobs in your mind?
To me, the sky's the limit with Josh. Now, here's a young kid who went through hardships even in college, showing that his dedication for what his gifts have been given to him, he's trying to pursue that regardless of the obstacles. That right there is an inspirational message for any athlete. Physically, he has the ability. We don't know what's going on in his head, but I'm just looking at his mannerisms, and mentally, he is ready to go and prove a point, making his own footprints on his journey, his legacy. So we've got an all-star guy right here, in my opinion, an all-pro.
Now, I'm not saying the refs cheat us every game, but it seems like their consistent bad calls have changed the course of countless games for us. Most of the Raider Nation feels that it's not only the Raiders versus their opponents, but it's also the Raiders versus the refs. What's your take on that?
Well, brother, that probably dates all the way back to 1960s. Like I say, upon us coming into the scenes, we were already touted for being brash and fighting and cheating. So that's kind of a reputation. And then with what Al went through with the league at that time, being a maverick of sorts, you know, going against the grain, doing it his way, I think, me personally, the league still holds a little bit of that animosity towards us just because of that. And that's why I tell every fan that I run into, when you choose that team, you better have some thick skin, because there's a lot that comes with that. The referees are handpicked, mind you, by the league for certain teams. So it always seems like we get the squad that has no love for us coming into it. And I've talked to a few of them over my years, and they pretty much told me, we hate you guys anyway. But they're coming to do their job, and they're going to do it just like they were instructed to do. They give us no love. Now, I'll take you back to the 80s and the 70s when they still threw flags, but we could overcome those flags and still win in spite of them. And I'll spot my man Alzado. He used to take the flags and throw them back at him. You know, I'm going to give it back to you because your arms are going to be tired from throwing it by the end of this game. That was the mentality that I hope to see in my lifetime return.
Yeah, I mean, we've been through a lot, right? The index card game here recently, you know, the tuck rule. You know, what are some of the bad calls that stand out in your mind?
Well, we can start with, I hate to see it, the tuck rule changed our direction of the dynasty of this team to me. The whole world saw it. It was on a national stage. I was sitting there in the stand. He was speechless because he knew what was happening. They showed us on national TV. We can take this from you because this team will not represent the AFC conference in a Super Bowl. And that particular referee that made that call did not call any of our games for since then, basically. He didn't call any of our games, so I already knew. And when that call went down, I'm saying he must have received an envelope in his locker before the game even started. All they look for is an opportunity. The flags that you see them throwing are at inopportune times for us, not the other team. When we get a makeup call, it's usually a 5-yarder, something that's insignificant as far as the ebb and flow of the game. But when we get hit, it's at strategic times that changes the whole, like I say, the whole flow of the game. And it's been documented throughout our history, and it probably will continue. So be prepared. Don't think it's over, because it ain't.
Yeah, that's the bad boys of the league rep haunting us, you know. To me, I think like we're still paying for plays like the Holy Roller.
But it's part of our history, brother. You got to understand, this is a business, and now they call it entertainment. But the whole thing is, and the pride that we take as Raider fans is, look, we can win in spite of the zebras on the field. Back in the days, I've witnessed that. In spite of that, they made calls in the Super Bowl against the Redskins. But that team was so dominant, and that will to win, as Al said, was so high that the Redskins, and they were the favorites in that game. We took it to them. I'm looking to see those days come back. Quit listening to the outside noise. Know within that locker room what you have, what you're capable of. Let's put it into motion and go take what we want.
Well, Violator, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the channel and share a part of your journey with us. But before I let you go, what message do you have for the Raider Nation here and now and into the future?
Pretty simple, brother. Raider Nation, I'm speaking to you as an ambassador. Always stay true, stay loyal, keep the beliefs, and keep the faith. We will return.
Well, thanks for appearing on Oaktown Legends. I look forward to seeing you out there in the nation once again.
My pleasure, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep it positive, and let's go Raiders.
And as always, Raider Nation, thanks for watching.